Hey guys, welcome back to Rides a Lot. Today we're in the shop and I'm going to be teaching you tips and tricks and hacks for your bike to make your riding experience way better. Number 1, learn to know the difference between Presta and Schrader valve. Example, Presta valve. The little skinny one that gets annoying because it can break very easily, but on the go, very easy to get air out of. Otherwise, when you have a Schrader valve, and this is the Schrader valve. It's the fat, stubby little guy. I prefer these because they're a lot easier and they're a lot easier to not break. Another tip that goes along with Schrader valves is when you're replacing them. You might want to get a little cap like this, but this is for a Presta, so it wouldn't fit. And you don't need them for Prestas because if you look, Prestas have a little something like this. It's a ring, and this is already equipped with one. So when you put the valves through, you just tighten that up, and you don't have to worry about sticking back in. But it's already pretty long, so you don't really have to worry about that. On the other end, Schraders, they like to poke out pretty easily. So I've always done just put a cap on it, and while I'm beating the tire, and then when I'm ready, just pump it up, take off the cap, and then you're on your own merry way. Number 2, don't ride carbon wheels or this happens to you. Yep, this is my dad's old wheel off his Trek. Just taking a nice little hip, went off a little too much. I mean, to start with, we don't like carbon anyway, but it just came with it, and he already felt the flexing. And went off a hip, and the whole thing just bent. I mean, even like the rotor bent too. I mean, like, it's insane. It's a nice hub. I mean, everything else around it is great. It's just a wheel. But yeah, I can flex this wheel. Oh my gosh, I'm flexing it. So that is why I personally don't run carbon. I don't trust myself, especially how far I like to huck. Number 3, don't bother with tubeless. I have done tubeless. My dad and I have tried tubeless. It does not work for us. We have had professionals do it. We've had us do it. We've done it so many times, and I'm a bike mechanic, and I know how to do it. It's super simple. But it just doesn't work. Every time I went to Bachelor, my local, well, not actually local, it's about 3 hours away, but it's my favorite bike park. Go check them out. Anywho, they are known for having huge, really sharp lava rock. And every time I'd be riding, on my 24s, I mean, even on my 26, we tried it, and it still didn't work. And I'm just rolling along, hit a rock, hear air coming out, and we're like, oh, tubeless, sealant can fill it up. Nope, just kept squirting everywhere, getting all over my back and my bike. It's super irritating. And we tried, we did this. This went on for about 2 months, and we just gave up at the end. And at Bachelor, I ended up actually going through 3 tires in 2 days. I went through 2 on the first day and 1 on the next day. So that's why I personally hate running tubeless. Tip number 4. Also, sorry about the coffee maker in the background. Can't do anything about it. Hey, turned off. Okay, anywho, so what you want to do, I'm teaching you how to properly tighten your stem. People, let's say Walmart. Have you ever looked at their bikes? If you look at their stems, one side is super clamped down with all this gap right here. And the problem is, when you go doing that, also, it puts too much stress on the bars. But second off, when you're going to do a jump, whoops, they slip and you eat crap and it's not fun. So what you want to do is you do the X pattern. So you take one side, you go like that, tighten that up, and you go to the other side, right diagonal across it, and then you go next to it. You would think you would go straight down, but you don't want to. And make sure you don't tighten these all the way yet. Now that they're all pretty cinched up, you got that good. Now you just make sure you tighten all that up really well. You go like that. And for reassurance, you want to use it as an actual Allen wrench. So now you got strong bars and you're not going to eat crap on the trail. If this happened to you, I'm sorry, but I'm here for you. Tip number 5, Don't over tighten anything on your mountain bike. Example, if you see this piece, that's the back end of a brake lever. This bike has been used, has been shredded. It's a cool, good old GT sanction. Our buddy's letting us borrow it for our friends. But the guy who had it before it over tightened, and we were doing some bike maintenance, and this just popped right. It literally just popped off. It's funny though because it's actually still holding on, but that part's broken. That's on the ground. And this will teach you not to over tighten parts. Now that you know not to over tighten stuff, we're gonna go to step number 6, and that is don't be a Joey. A Joey is a newbie. I mean, we're all newbies at one point, I understand that. But don't be the guy that's stopping on the trail, staring at everything, pointing at trees. Hey, look, it's a tree. And if you really want to know, go to IFHT Films or Mahalo My Dude, and they will show you everything. But it's a very big pet peeve of mine, and just warning you, don't be a Joey unless you want to get hit. So that's step number 6. Now we're going on. Step number 7, it's a pretty simple one, but there's a lot of people that don't really know it, and I'm going to tell you. It's called bike maintenance. Make sure before every ride you check on your bike. I'm saying check air pressure in your tires. Always bring a bike pump. Check air in your shock and your fork. That's good, so you don't bottom out all the time. And make sure everything's tight, like bearings. Make sure they're all in good condition. I always like to check my bike before I go on a ride. I can't tell you how many times I went up to the trail, and next thing you know, I have a flat before I even rode. Very irritating, and so keeping good bike maintenance makes a good ride and a happy bike, so it doesn't buck you off the trail. Step number 8, learn to carry tools and equipment. This was my old Camelback. It was a great one. I used to be able to carry all my tools. This doesn't have very much space because it's a kid's backpack. So it wasn't very surprising then, but you can carry a lot of water. But if you get something like this, an Osprey Sevu, I can't say it, very, very high quality. There is 2 water bottle carriers and pockets everywhere. And I use this mostly for carrying my camera gear. Take you guys on cool trips. My dad, on the other hand, he has a bigger version of this, and it's an Osprey, and it has so much space, and he carries all the bike tools. Make sure you always have your bike tools, because you don't want to get a flat on the side of the trail and not have a tube or any tools to even begin with. So, that is step number 7. Now we're going on to number 8. Step number 9. Brake bleeding is a profound art. It's very hard, and if you don't get it right, you can pretty much screw up anything. Yesterday I was bleeding my brakes, and the little hose this little syringe popped off the brake and went everywhere, and I happened to get on my dad's bike on his rotors right next to it. So make sure you have a good space to do it, and make sure you don't get it everywhere. Because when you get it on, this is just mineral oil. It's not toxic or anything, but it is toxic for your brakes. So when you do it, always take out your brakes. And if you want, so they don't get compressed, put a little thing in there. And if you don't have one, just use something like this or a popsicle stick. Those work. You just gotta make them the right size and make sure you clean them off. Now to finish off this video, step 10, go ride your frickin' bike. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a great one. See you in the next video.